program comes from executive producer Lilian Garcia. Every athlete is on this quest. Every performer dives in head first, battling real-life challenges and overcoming obstacles in an effort to make their dreams reality. Singer, speaker, and 15-year WWE host Lilian Garcia was the first woman to ever announce WrestleMania and is now the PFL MMA cage announcer. And now she's giving you an all-access pass to the human interest stories of elite athletes, extraordinary entertainers, and wellness experts. Now, let's embark on another fascinating journey of chasing glory with your host, Lilian Garcia.
Hey guys, welcome to Chasing Glory. So excited to have you guys here, and especially because this is, I'm going to say, a very special edition of Chasing Glory. First of all, it's coming to you from different parts of the world. The interview that I did with Melina is coming to you from New York. That's right. And then the intro that I'm about to do right now, or that I'm in the process of doing, is coming to you from Toronto. And before I give you all the goodies coming from Toronto, I do want to remind you guys to definitely follow the show at Chasing Glory Podcast on Instagram, at Lilian Garcia on Instagram and Twitter, and Lilian Garcia official fan page. Remember that Lilian is just with one L in the middle. And you know that I normally pick a review of the week, but this week, because of my special intro guest, okay, not my special Chasing Glory guest, that's Melina, that's coming. But my special intro guest, I want to go ahead and take the time to be with her. There's a little hint. And I want to also let you know that next week I'll be choosing two of those reviews of the week and putting them into the drawing. If you guys enter that and you get chosen, then you get in the big drawing at the end of the month, and that is for an autographed 8x10 and a Chasing Glory t-shirt. Make sure you go to Apple Podcasts for that review. Subscribe to the show. Keep that 5-star rating. Thank you so much for making Chasing Glory surpass 6 million downloads in less than 100 episodes. So thanks so much. That is really incredible. And we're all on this Chasing Glory train together, and it's just so inspiring to get all these stories, from all these amazing superstars. And so an amazing superstar that I have right here. Well, you guys know, come on. When you're in Toronto, who do I have to see? None other than my girl, Trish Stratus.
Whoa, it's time to rock and roll.
We had to hear your music.
Yeah.
Whoa,
it was like,
time to rock and roll.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great. It's great. You know how I feel about you.
Oh, this is great. Yes.
For some of you that might not know, so Trish and I rode together for the entire time that you were there, 7 years.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. We rode together, and man, we shared so much.
So much.
Yeah. And so every time we get together, we kind of reminisce.
Oh, it's ridiculous. There's hours and hours of reminiscing. And but it's just amazing. We've known each other for almost 20 years now.
20 years. 19 to be exact right now, counting.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So our friendiversary is next year.
Friendiversary is next year. We got to do something
when we
big.
actually started to travel together. It's interesting to think about that.
Your very first day.
Was it the very first day?
Well, remember because I befriended you first.
Right, yes.
Right? And then you debuted at Nassau Coliseum.
Right.
And I think from
the first
that
day I worked,
point,
because there was that little in between. Remember, I was kind of on the road, and then they threw me with certain people just to get me, because I couldn't rent a car even. I was so young.
Right.
I was so young, I couldn't rent a car. Oh my goodness.
But I remember going to Nassau Coliseum when they told you were debuting, and you were like, let's go, we got to go to the store. And I'm like, okay, I'll help you.
Got an outfit.
Oh my God. And the outfit, guys, seriously, you guys remember the long robe and the cowgirl hat? That was one store. I remember one store we walked in, there were cowgirl.
That was all the rage at the time. The cowboy hats were happening. So it was like, oh, and I happened to have, I think, a skirt. What did the skirt match the pink hat or something? It's like, we have to get this. So yeah, that was it. And then my little look was born, which is kind of fun. So
TNA.
TNA, talent and ability. Yep. Yeah. Don't call it anything else. I mean, Tess and Albert as well, but other implications were said.
Oh my God.
But yes, thanks for having me.
Oh, this is great.
Yes.
Oh, it's great. It's great as we go into this episode with Melina. Now, you have not heard the interview.
No.
I've already done the interview. Incredible.
Yeah.
You guys are going to see Melina in a whole new light. I really feel that. I feel that she has been misunderstood in a lot of ways, but I also love that she takes responsibility for some of the things that have happened to her in her life, and maybe the way she's come across, and also an understanding as to some of the the misunderstandings, you know. Again, it's just so inspiring when you hear people's stories. And if you guys haven't heard Trish's story, you can actually go back to Chasing Glory and definitely go back in the episodes. You were like in my early on.
Like I wasn't the first because I couldn't make
Batista was my first. Actually, you're talking about the
I was
other
like the
podcast.
Other one. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you've been on both.
That's right.
So
Okay,
remember, I had my previous podcast.
That's right.
You were my
Okay, so I was at the beginning of your podcast journey.
Yeah,
not Chasing Glory journey.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I brought you back for Chasing Glory. Oh, it was after the Royal Rumble.
Okay. Oh,
That's right.
That's right. Yes. Okay.
Right after we got your perspective as to what it was like to compete in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, that's right.
And that was really fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, definitely go back and listen. And you can, I think you can still, well, I know online. I think you can
sure,
get,
it's still available, right?
Oh,
it was a goodie, so yeah, check it out.
So tell me, I mean, your kids are adorable.
Thank you. They're a handful. They're
How's
awesome.
mama life?
I love it. It's great. I honestly, it's just like, we were laughing because you're like, oh my God, I can't believe it's 10. I'm like, you're right. I say that literally every night. So there's definitely that.
Your day just goes, phew.
It's just like, I call it my black hole when I pick them up at 4 p.m. Like after school, I pick them up at 4, and then 9 o'clock, like Max goes down, and it's just like a black hole. Do not call me. I do not try. I'm not online. I'm just not available. And then 9 o'clock, I can like be a human being again for a little bit. But it's great. I mean, it's lovely. It's this chapter of my life is lovely. Yeah.
They are so good. They're so adorable. They're so loving.
I mean, at times they're not.
And your place is so incredible, guys. If you saw this decoration, like seriously, you are made for this.
Thank you. I know. I'm a bit of a home. I'm Susie Homemaker big time. My inner Susie Homemaker.
You guys see, like even just to receive my husband and I, she had all this whole platter out with all these little foods and this and that, and just I don't even know how you call it, like hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was. Hors d'oeuvres are available for you. I like to entertain. One of my things is like I love party throwing. Like I love doing little themes about that. So it's like it's just kind of been fun. It started with the kids. The kids' parties turned into one, and then one year went even bigger. And then it's something I love. I love being creative. It's like another creative outlet almost, right? So I just love like being able to express creatively what I like to do, and just I'm passionate about it. So that's kind of how I.
You know, the thing is with this, and I want to touch on Ashley for sure. With this whole thing, we've talked about how hard the transition is from wrestling, and it can be hard like any other sport, right? If you've wrapped your identity around what you do, right? If you've wrapped your identity to being a football player, to a baseball player, to, a soccer player, a hockey player, or to a wrestler, and that's all you've ever done, and that's all you've ever known.
And all people know you as.
And all people know you as, right? And then you're gone, and it's definitely, it can feel like falling from grace.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh my God, I'm back in reality world. How the hell do I function? For you, I would think that it was a little easier because you weren't a wrestler your entire, like from Pee-wee trying to be, right? It came into your life. You were a fitness model.
Right.
And then you could leave and you could still do fitness. You did your yoga.
Yeah.
So you still had some.
Yeah, I had that, launched my business. I think like I was lucky to find yoga. I think just like due to my injury, I had that thing, and it gave me my next life, I guess.
Right, your transition.
Yeah, so it gave me like it was like the epitome, like I have my calling of what to do next. So like because just backstory is like I had backstory.
Yeah, literally.
Funny. I literally had a herniated disc in my back, and during the last end of my career, that was like something I was suffering with, but I found yoga, and yoga totally rehabilitated my back, and of course going back as a yogi superstar, just the agility, like no headaches all the time, just could manage the schedule better, et cetera, et cetera. So when I retired, I was like, okay, so first I delved into it for myself personally and found my own journey. And then it just was like, oh, this is what I realized that when I do an appeal, like, as you know, you do charity things, it's like you have this platform. Well, what can I do? And so it's just like, I need to just basically tell the world about yoga. And it's so good for people, and to like just find themselves, to slow down, to have one-on-one time with themselves, to just everything, you just, set your intention daily. Little things like that really make a difference in your outlook in life. So I was finding that, and I wanted to share it, and that's why. So I was lucky I found that journey, and I was lucky that in Canada, instead of having a home town, I have a home country.
Yeah.
They really embraced my WWE journey. So I was able, when I was done, they were like, "What is Trish Stratus doing now?" They still wanted to know about me, so I was able to. They came to my opening of my yogas. They came to do yoga segments with the Toronto Maple Leafs, etc. Things like that.
Yeah.
So that really helped for me for sure, because I understand you. There's moments where you're lost, right? Like, what do you do?
So lost, and so.
I'll tell you, my other constant has been Ron. Someone like Ron in my life. So the constant, if you look at like as a fitness model, as a student going to biomed school as a fitness model, as a wrestler, and then as a transitioning to yogi. Ron's been there the entire time. He's been there since I was 17 years old.
Yeah.
And he grounded me. Like, I would come home from 4 days on the road, and I would take the Trish Stratus hat off, and I would take out the trash as Trish. You know, I wasn't in that realm all the time, and I did my work, and I left. I did not go out, in those times when the weekend shows when you weren't there with me. I didn't. I wrote alone, and I was not like a, snob or whatever. I wrote alone.
Yeah, during the weekend before you and I connected, right?
And you'd ask me, and like, I was like, there was times, mind you, there was a time where I was only girl on the road, and maybe Lita was, so she was with Matt or whatever, right? So, but yeah, and this is what I did. I did my work, and that was it. So for me, it was like a 7-year-old gig that was a huge part of my life, but I understood that it's like a gig. I mean, I remember turning 30 and thinking, it's kind of like when my mom was diagnosed with cancer and it was like my contract was coming up. I said, I'm pushing 30. It's probably time to not be like, hey, she's a hot one for like an older chick. As funny as that sounds. But, there's a time where you think maybe I'd wrap it up. However, I'm now back there for 42 wrestling and things like that. But
which I loved.
It's great.
You killed it. Like, chance is still, you got it, all of that.
It's like, I think it's like riding a bike. When you're a wrestler, you can wrestle still.
It's great.
Apparently.
Yeah. What I've been talking about is literally telling people that are starting anything or that are already in something, right? Let's say you are a wrestler. Let's say you're an up-and-coming wrestler right now. I'm like, great, wonderful. But also have a hobby.
Yeah.
Have something else, another passion on the side, playing guitar or whatever it is. Yeah. That when this ends, because it will end. Everything comes to an end, right? You can actually find something else to transition to and still be like, okay, well, let me pick up the guitar then because I've been playing for a while. Let me see what I can do. Or, I don't know. I just use that as an example. But I just think it's so important not to wrap your head around just being one thing in your life.
Right, because it's a limited calling for sure. And it's something I talk to when kids come up to you at like, the autograph signings and stuff, and they're like, my daughter wants to be a wrestler. And I'm like, okay, backup plan, I say, do your schooling. Like we were talking about the other day, having that college background.
Man,
right?
Like, so great. That college background gave us the ability to juggle so many things at the same time. Yeah. I was telling you how I was doing Powerful You. They had me hosting. I was doing interviews live on the stage. I had just released the movie that weekend as well, so I was doing PR for the movie. And then I was singing. I was releasing my new song. My new song, by the way, is called Now. Download it now. And then, God, what else? They had me doing some other stuff. So I had like 5 or 6 hats, and at first when I looked at it, I went,
how can I do this?
How can I do this? Yeah. And you've done the same thing.
Yeah, I remember WWE, how am I going to pull off a promo? How am I going to pull off learning this new move for this match tonight? I'm going to get my costume made.
All these things. And it's because of college trained us.
You do it, and you're like, how did I just do that? And then it gives you this, like, just empowering feeling that, like, oh my God, I can do this. I can manage this. I can handle this.
Well, think about it. In college or high school, whatever, sometimes you have 5 and 6 tests at the same time. Yeah. So let me just tell you, you guys might think school is like useless, but no, it trains you in so many other ways.
Guys, I studied for so many years, and I was a pre-med student for so many years for nothing. I mean, I don't...
Well, no, but don't say for nothing.
Hold on. For nothing, because I'm not a doctor. However, yes, the background, the training, everything. I mean, and luckily I got to practice the theory that I was learning a little bit with the biology, kinesiology background and practicing my body, what I learned in there. But, oh my God, so valuable. You just, it's really invaluable, and if people don't realize it, and just to be an educated person. Period.
Well, my dean was so good that he told me, it's like, pick something. He goes, if you love to be in front of the camera, then learn behind the camera.
Great.
And I was like, oh, how smart. There's a course for that? He's like, yeah, it's called media arts. You can major in media arts. So I majored in filmmaking and producing, directing and producing,
and look at you now.
And so I'm able to do, like now, executive producing Chasing Glory, like editing my own stuff. I learned so much stuff. So I think it's important when you go to college, pick something that you're passionate about. Even if you don't end up doing that later, just pick something you're really passionate about and juggle, all that is given to you, because it will teach you so much for when you graduate.
Sure.
All right, so speaking about Ashley, as we get ready to go into Melina's episode, an interview, wow, that hit us like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
The silver lining is that we've all come together more.
Been amazing.
Yeah. The string of the Squared Circle sisters that we've kept now in touch and reaching out to each other, and Melina and I touch on that and what it's meant to her. What has it meant for you? Because I know what it's meant for me. It's like incredible.
Yeah, and I think, of course, with death, it's sadness. You associate it with sadness, and there's no silver lining, and it really is. It's hard to find that silver lining. But then, there's moments like I guess you've told your listeners about our group text, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So moments like while we're all, I think. I can't remember which one. One of the girls got a letter from her that was just a fluke that came to her, and she shared it with us. And that we were all like I got goosebumps right now thinking about it.
Yeah.
Literally. And it was just came after her death, and it was like we said it's a message from her. She's saying, "Wow, thank you," and she's realizing what we did. And if we didn't have this group test, we would have never been able to actually share that together.
True.
So it's like moments like that, and you talk about Melina, and Melina and I for years. I mean, so there's like an internet thing that that apparently, there was the famous John Morrison Trish Stratus incident where he gave me it's called the famous cold shoulder incident.
From WrestleMania, right?
No, it was from Raw, actually. So we had the WrestleMania match with Snooki and Lay Cool and Dolph Ziggler. And I guess it was on Raw, and we won the match. We were raising our hands, and I went to go raise his hand, and he threw my hand off or gave me the brush and then went on the other side of Snooki. And I was like, okay, that was on live television. And it was a big thing. And we had a little conversation in the back, and it wasn't a little conversation. Actually, it's the first time I've actually, we were passionately talking about it. But basically, I was like, you just stole a moment from a performance. Like, whatever you feel about me, maybe you think, you're not cool with me, which is fine. I don't mind. But we're performing. And tonight we're partners. And the crowd was excited about us as a team, as a partnership. And you've taken that moment from the fans. It's for what, right?
Right.
And, you couldn't just wait 5 seconds later, I'm gone tomorrow. I'm not even around,
Yeah.
And then he went into this whole thing and said, what, you've taken a spot from another superstar by being here. And I was like, nope, I have not taken a spot from someone. I was assigned a slot. I'm on the show called Tough Enough that airs after this, and they've brought me back for that.
Yeah. And you're given an opportunity from the company. It's not like you're going to say, nope.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah.
We take
and I'm promoting the show that I'll be on, so that was that. And I said, I'm gone tomorrow, and that's that. And, I'm not taking it. So anyway, so it was, kind of got a lot of big buzz. And then eventually he got released, and everyone thought it was, because of that incident, but who knows, whatever.
Right.
But a lot of it, there was this backstory that Melina and I, that she was, he had said that I had taken up her. They were mad because it was his girlfriend, and I was taking up her girlfriend's spot. And she really had nothing to do about this. So we've had this weird, we haven't talked for years. And I was never, because we were fine before this incident, and we would chat here and there, and then we just didn't talk. And so I thought, wow, I don't know if it's really, I never chatted with her. She never talked to me. And it was just this quiet thing, and life goes on. Next thing you know, 5 years have gone by, 6 years have gone by. And then we've reached out to a couple times on Twitter, and we had DM'd each other here and there. And then I think we just, when this group thing came, we just said, this is a chance for us to chat. And we finally connected.
Oh, wow.
And we had a really wonderful conversation. And it was just in other words, the bottom line was, hey, we're cool, right? Yeah, nothing. There was nothing.
Oh,
there was no
awesome.
heat ever. And I was doing my best, whenever someone would say, oh, I love this underrated match between Trisha and Melina. And I'd be like, I love working with her, a great girl, because I wanted her to know, I wanted her to see that and know, and I love her. I loved working with her. I thought we had a really small feud. Yeah. But it was great. It was really, really good, and it was for what it was. It was memorable, and I loved working with her. So I love her as a friend, and she came to my studio. She stayed at my house before.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's just weird, but that's what happens in this business. And this thing about especially when you're not in the business anymore and you're out there, and then you hear this, and this internet thing is so crazy because you never know what to believe, and then you're like,
True.
oh my God, am I believing my own rumors? As she's probably talking about too. So we had a wonderful talk, a long talk, and we got deep into stuff, and it was lovely. And it's so great to see, and I've done it, I think you've said that too. I've done that with a number of the girls too. Yeah. Gone off and had other conversations on my one-on-one with them, and it's been lovely. And I think it's what we said is she's brought us all together because
Ashley,
here and there we all talk, of course you and I talk, and we have these friends, but all of us come in. I had Candace and I were talking mama stuff one day, but we never had a chance to. But we have so much to relate to because we have kids, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So it's been lovely, and I just think it's so amazing to see us all bounding together, and to see the support of the fans has been so
great. Guys, please continue with the GoFundMe.
Yeah,
we put this together for Alexa, and of course Ashley's mother, Barbara,
and just in memory of Ashley, right?
Yeah,
just to and I love reading the comments. If you read the comments underneath, people, that's what they're doing there. It's kind of giving them an outlet to donate, help, know that they're giving something in honor of Ashley and her, and in memory of what she did and how she contributed to the business.
Even $5, guys.
Yeah, even $5.
It's adding up.
It really is adding up, and we've seen that. And so I'm afraid the momentum's kind of slowed down, and I just want to let's rev it up, and we should think of something internally for us to do the Square Circle Sisters to get it going again. So we'll probably stay tuned for that. We'll probably her and I have proven we'll brainstorm all night long.
Yeah, all night long.
We'll let something come up. So yeah, so it's been awesome. It's been really special.
Yeah. What's your memory of Ashley?
So I was her first wrestling wife. That's what I like to say because if you think about it, I was at home with that injury, the back injury.
Oh, by the way, I don't want to stop you, but in case somebody that doesn't know that's listening to the show, Ashley Mazzaro that we're talking about that passed away recently.
Okay,
go ahead.
Right. Okay. So Ashley had just been in the Diva Search. I was at home with my back injury, and I was watching this Diva Search going on, and she just right away stood out. Obviously, the way she dressed and the way just her energy. And that's why she won. I mean, everyone felt it. And then they called me and they said, so we have this idea, like I got cleared, and they said, we have this idea to bring you back. And Vince's Angels were doing the thing with Victoria and Candace and Tori. And they said, well, we're going to have them. And so Ashley came out and was having a little back and forth with them. And that was my big return back, as she said, oh, guys, I have a little backup. They were bullying her. That was the whole thing. They were bullying her. And they're like, you know what? I have a little backup this time. And it was like, she called me out. And
I remember that.
It's crazy and it's weird. Like, I actually watched that clip back. It was such a hype moment. I remember I had my friend had just passed away, actually, and had his initials on my armband, and I remember just that memory it's so strong for me, and she was so excited. And what I loved about her is she just was like, you name it, like she wanted to do it, she wanted to be part of it, she was like, it was like, for me to, like, not a grizzled vet at the time, but I'd been in the business for a while, but to see this fresh perspective through her eyes it was refreshing, because you get like the business, you take it for granted sometimes, and she was so excited, like looking around the arena and just being like,
smile,
what?
The biggest everything,
and everything about her, and just to be, she was so thankful for the opportunity, and because people felt like, oh, she's just given this check, and she wanted to earn it, and she really did. So she came to me, she's like, okay, can we do a drop kick take? Can we? Yeah, absolutely. So we learned all these things. If I actually saw on Wikipedia, it's listed Fit Finley, Ricky Steamboat, and Trish Stratus as her trainer, and I was like, wow, I mean. I guess I was her first, trainer. Awesome. Like, I got in with her, and we did all our moves, and we rode on we did our loop together on the house shows, and it's funny because I'll be honest, I haven't, and I kind of feel a little of this guilt inside. I'm going to share this, but I haven't necessarily talked about my Ashley stories as much when I talk about my history. Like, when I talk to panels, it's always, Jazz and I killed it, we did that stuff, and Victoria and we're hardcore, and Lilian had that rival for all years, Mickey James and I had that storyline that was, months and months long. And I really don't bring up Ashley and I's storyline. And it's because, for the most part, usually in these, like, even in my speeches, when you're thanking the person you worked with, you're in the wrestling business, you talk to the person that put you over, Jazz taught me, Maudley taught me, things like that. And I feel a little like, gosh, I can't believe I didn't acknowledge it as much as I maybe should have, and it wasn't until she passed, I hate to say, that I looked at her pictures and watching, and I'm like, all these memories kind of hit me super hard at that point. And I was like, oh my God, like, we did a lot together, and we went through a lot together, and I went through a lot for her as a new person in the business. Just like what you went through with me, you were that person for me, I was that person for her in the beginning, and that person is so important. And we chatted after, when I left retired, she still called me for advice and things like that, and we kept in touch just via, like, oh, that match was like that, that general stuff, right, that like the last few years. But I felt a bit of like, oh man, I've never, because it was brief, it was a few, maybe not even a couple weeks storyline, you know what I mean? So it was like a little, but like, it was special when I look back, and like, because anytime, and that's why, like, we have this bond, because you and I rode together, we shared this life. I remember at this one point, Victoria and I were working our storylines, and I was like, she's going to be my maid of honor, because you're that close to that person at that minute.
Right.
And then the storyline ended, and then, okay, no, really, I do have a best friend. She's going to be, she's been my best friend for 25 years. She's going to be my maid of honor. But that's how you get with these people, right? You get that close to them.
Yes.
They're in your everyday.
Yes.
That's what happens, right? So, yeah. Anyway, it was nice to finally share the story about Ashley. And thank you again. Look at you always having these platforms that I can say things on your platforms. But
I love it. I love that you're here talking about it.
Yeah, it was really, and she was awesome. But I just had such great memories of her, and so it's nice to share it and stuff.
That smile, right?
Yeah.
The always smile.
I know.
That you're just glowing, just glowing. Look, I know that her spirit is definitely here for sure. She is alive in many, many ways. So we thank you guys again for also keeping that up and keeping the memory going and all. And I want to thank you for being part of this as always.
This is so great.
Yeah. Wow.
So back to business,
Back to business. We're going to go into Melina's interview now.
I'm excited to listen to this.
I know. Yeah. Again, guys, I really want you to share this. Like, if this really hits you, first of all, listen to all the way to the end, because there's some real bombshells that get dropped towards the end. And it's Melina being really raw, really real, as I call it here, real, raw, and then inspiring from it all. Very vulnerable and opening up because now she wants to help people through her story. So without further ado, Trish, thank you.
Thank you.
And here is Melina's journey of chasing glory. Although she would consider herself a simple person with a simple life, Melina has accomplished some extraordinary things in her lifetime. Born and raised in Southern California, Melina Perez would become an accomplished beauty pageant contestant, winning Miss Hawaiian Tropic Anaheim and Miss California Belleza Latina. But she knew she was meant for more of a physical lifestyle, so Melina would try her hand at pro wrestling by enrolling in Jesse Hernandez's School of Hard Knocks and quickly fell in love with it. Her natural ability would make her a standout, and she even tried out for the third season of WWE Tough Enough. Although she didn't make the final cut, it pushed her even further to make it to the WWE. She would make sporadic appearances as an extra for the WWE and would eventually be signed to a full-time contract in early of 2004. She would report to Developmental, where she would link up with Johnny Nitro and Joey Mercury and form the unforgettable trio known as MNM. They would make their main roster debut on SmackDown, and in the spring of 2005, they made an immediate impact where she led the team to winning the WWE Tag Team Championship. In addition to being in the corner of the team, Melina would compete in the women's division, facing off some of the best divas that the WWE had to offer. Melina would soon dominate the women's division, beating Mickie James for the WWE Women's Championship, and even retained her championship in the first ever Women's Falls Count Anywhere match in the WWE. After also winning the WWE Divas title, Melina became the first woman to win the Women's and Divas Championship multiple times. Melina would leave the WWE in 2011, but would continue wrestling on the independent scene, competing all over the world. She would mix it up with many of the past and future WWE superstars, and still cultivating wrestling fans throughout the globe. She continues to compete on the indie circuit while providing the veteran leadership that she can offer. It's no wonder, while multiple Hall of Famers have called her one of the best women wrestlers to have ever stepped in the ring. It's about to get real, raw, and inspiring with Melina. And here she is. I am so excited for this. Melina, welcome to Chasing Glory.
Oh, Lilian, I'm so happy.
Oh man, you're tearing up as you hear that bio. Tell me what you're feeling.
Because I don't know. It's sometimes like you realize like the things you've done, and people forget that you're human. You know. So to hear the things that I've accomplished when going through it, it didn't feel like I was doing a lot of stuff. It just felt like I'm just doing me and doing what I needed to do. And sometimes it seems like it's worth nothing and nobody sees you for who you are, who you wanted to be. So when you hear stuff like that, it's like, wow, I did something.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice.
I hear you, because I realized it too. I told that to somebody when I was doing an interview. They were reading off some of the things that I'd done, and I was like, wow, I never gave myself a moment to appreciate it or take it in or be like, yes, you did this, girl. And that's why I encourage that so much now, right? It's when you do something, I don't care if it's the smallest thing, take a moment to be like, hell yes.
Yes, it's okay to give those moments and then give yourself a little pat on the back, like, okay, I did well. But sometimes it's just like, go, 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 go. And
Yeah.
or survive, like survival mode, and you just can't look back. But you don't realize that some of these moments are the best moments of your life until afterwards.
Right. I want to go ahead and let people know that it's so funny. We are basically both in New York, but we're too far from each other in New York. So I'm here in Long Island. I am, taping this as being part of the PFL MMA and getting ready for that on
Oh,
ESPN. And then I hear that you're in Brooklyn.
yes.
Long Island and Brooklyn might as well be, you know, freaking LA to New York. The traffic is so hard. Like, yeah, our schedules and all.
Oh,
What are you
I
doing
want
in
to see
Brooklyn?
you. I'm hanging out. I'm hanging out with Rick Cataldo.
Oh, that's awesome. Just
So
hanging. Yeah.
I was in Baltimore and I'm going to Philly. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go hang out with Rick.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So and now you're still wrestling. You're still doing indies?
Yes,
Yeah.
just every so often, not too and nothing too crazy.
How is that for you after leaving WWE? Like you doing that?
It is. It's interesting because like there's some moments where because the reason I wanted to do it was because I'm not done with it yet, but then at the same time it's like I wanted to give back and see, just be a part of like the future of wrestling, to see like what's out there. Like it makes me happy to see the passion in these kids and to see what they're gonna like what they're capable of now and what they're gonna do in the future. So it makes me love wrestling, like stay with the love of wrestling.
Wow.
So I'd see this and it's really great to be able to be a part of this and see this. But then there are moments where it's like, I don't know, it kind of, sometimes it still breaks my heart. Where
Yeah.
it just, some people appreciate, like, I had this one girl and she's so sweet. She had me meet her parents and everything, and her parents told me about the impact that I had on her. And I just started crying because, like, that's the stuff that means a lot to me. If a person looks up to me and I'm able to to teach them something or to fulfill something, like they got to wrestle a person that they looked up to. Like that means a lot to me. That's my way of saying I love you and thank you for everything. Like they're my kids. I told them I may not have children, but these kids in wrestling that watched me and they're somehow inspired by me,
Yeah.
those are my children, and I want the best for them, and I want to see them do it and accomplish so many great things in life. So that means so much to me. But then you'll meet the people who there's still people and they're human that have disrespect. And it's like, that hurts my heart. Where I'm like, wow, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I wish you could see that I just want nothing but the best for you.
What is it that you think people are seeing that turns them into having disrespect?
I think it's a multitude of things. Like, it's them being insecure because as much as we are all pro women supporting women, it still hasn't reached a certain level yet that I would like to see, or in my lifetime before. Like, I would love to see it I guess for me, because I haven't felt that. I feel like we learned all these lessons after the fact. So now, like our era, like we were now we're like unified and we're great. But
Right.
at the same time, in an environment that kind of didn't let us be that, or maybe we felt like we couldn't be that, the newer generation has that now. You can be friends with each other. You can support each other. It's not about one person in wrestling. It's about each other. I can't do something without you. I need you and you need me. We need each other. And it's a great sisterhood. But now we still have women. I'm sorry to hear the
Yeah, good old
New York.
Like I said, New York.
we still have like because back in the day there weren't a lot of women. So it's like you were one person, one female amongst a locker room of men. So it was hard to kind of support each other. But now everybody's there in it together. And I guess what they see with me is they're still a little bit threatened. They're either threatened because I don't know, maybe it's this certain presence that I have. Some people say I'm intimidating by the way I look or the way I carry myself, or because I was in the WWE, so I'm intimidating. I do nothing but I try to give hugs. I try to make people feel welcome, but sometimes it's just something within them that they can't let go of.
Right.
Sometimes they see that maybe I'm my character, and in their mind, they see me as Melina the character, and that there's nothing else. They can't see the actual person that's in front of them.
It's funny that you say that because when I met you, I knew you were coming and all of that kind of stuff. And I did have this kind of persona. And then when I met you and you were so sweet, I have to tell you, Melina, at first I'm like, is this an act? Is this an act? Yeah, no, seriously.
I've gotten that a lot. I've gotten that a lot too.
Because you're so nice and people are typically not that nice, that sometimes it came off with, is this an act to be so nice that I let my guard down? And then it's like, gotcha. So
Yeah.
why do you feel like, maybe you say you've gotten that? So tell me about that.
Oh, somebody has told me that. Like I went through a long time where I didn't understand why I was like, people were weird with me, but somebody told me, like, blatantly said, you know what, you're so nice, it can't be real. And I was just like, what? And then they told me, yeah, it comes off as fake. And I was like, wait, what? Because I've seen fake. I understand what fake is.
Yeah.
But I guess I could see when you're in an environment where probably, because it's all like, I get it when it comes to them, what they've went through. So what they've seen. So they probably trusted somebody and opened up their heart to somebody or befriended somebody and they were nice and they thought they were nice. And then all of a sudden it was abused.
Yeah.
The way I grew up was we were all family. So I just grew up from being with my family to going to what I thought was my wrestling family and being just as open as I ever was, but like in my quiet way, because I was shy. I get another reason why people thought I was the way I was, because I didn't talk a lot. So I get that because I didn't open up that they question that.
Yeah.
But I opened up in ways where I'm just like, I hug people and I just want to be helpful, to serve a purpose by being helpful. But I never really said much because I just watch.
Right.
But I get people got closed off by that. But I'm also just I trust people because I think everybody's good because I was always around my family. That's all I've ever known.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I want to get to know you as a kid. I want to get to know you. I mean, I just mentioned it, how you're a California girl.
Yeah, but I think people also have a different view on what California person is too, because they think Hollywood. But back in our day, like, say my parents, there was like, okay, so let me just lay down the foundation of who my family is. My parents were teenagers when they had me. So my mom was 15 when she had my brother and 19 when she had me.
Wow.
So they were kids raising kids.
Yeah.
So we didn't have much. So I'm pretty proud of my parents, like, because they decided to move out on their own as teenagers and just handle everything themselves. I couldn't even imagine doing that. I'm an adult and I'm still like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm like, how did they do it as children, to have children and move out on their own and handle business? So we didn't have much and we didn't mind, like, we didn't care that we didn't have anything, that we didn't have all the toys. We had hand-me-downs. We had, like, go to yard sales and whatnot. Like, it didn't, in that point in time, it wasn't a big deal to not have
it was just
designer
normal
clothes. Yeah. And
yeah.
if we wanted candies and we couldn't have it, it's like, well, no, you can't have that. Oh, okay. So all we cared about was that we had each other.
Yeah.
That our love, like family love and family being there, was everything, that we didn't know that we were missing out on anything. So
when did it come a little bit later on in life that it was like, oh, there is another whole life of having things?
I guess it was high school, because it was important for my mother to have me be in nice clothes all of a sudden. I guess for my senior year especially, it was just like, we need to have Calvin Klein this and that. And I was like, what? Okay, like, whatever. I was just happy that my mom was happy. So I'm like, okay. So I admit it, even though I was educated, I guess, in a way where we were taught to, like, let's move away from, like, the ghetto parts of life. Like, my parents did everything we could to get away from, like, let's move from Southgate, which was, like, not so great area. Let's go from this area to this. And we moved and moved and moved until we went away from, like, ghetto and gang life. So my parents did whatever it could to give us a better opportunity to have what they never had. And in high school, my mom started, like, looking for designer clothes. And that's the only time the light bulb clicked, like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah.
But it was never really that important, because I guess I still kept thinking in my mind, I just want my family to be happy. That's it.
Yeah.
If they're happy, I'm happy.
So what were
So
some of the struggles then that you endured as you were growing up in that lifestyle? Was it the amount of moving? Were there spats? Were there like what's your normal struggles that you were enduring?
no, the weird part is and this is why I think like my viewpoint, I'm very lucky. I was always happy no matter what. So we didn't have much. Like Christmas was, we're lucky we got socks. So that was just like, but my perception was again, I have my family. So then everything was great. Like we would live in garages and whatnot, like converted garages. So we didn't have anything. So everything that we did was support each other. Like our suffering was okay as long as we had each other.
And that's the four
So
of you.
yeah. So it was my brother and me, my mom and dad. So I was lucky to have a dad that stuck around. Like I am blessed to have a dad that cared. Like he would do stuff like, okay, I love and respect my dad like nobody's business. When people say women have father issues, not a problem here.
Yeah,
Because if
me
anything,
neither. Yeah.
yeah, if anything, he set a bar where this is the way men can be,
Mm.
and so that's what I'm like. He's just so amazing. He would make sure, like we didn't have. I didn't realize because of the way I perceive life.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that we didn't have a lot of money for food. So my dad would make sure that he wouldn't eat. He would just wait until everybody got fed.
Wow.
And so he'd sit there and he'd wait. And when we would eat, and then he'd wait until the end, and then he finally ate because
Wow.
he'll just eat whatever's left over. So things like that is just like my dad was just amazing. If we were struggling, he'd find a way. He would make sure he tried to do whatever he could to make sure that we were okay. As long
Yeah.
as there's a roof over our head and we got fed and he's there, that's all that mattered.
So
So
how, that's impressive. I love that.
isn't that
So
right?
how, yeah, no, that's great. So how was it for you when you went to school? Because with that perception, there he is again. Excuse me, we're having an interview. No, God bless whoever is needing that ambulance right now.
Yes. I
Right?
always think whenever I hear that, I always do like a little prayer. I'm like, may they get there as soon as they can.
Yes, for sure. I always do the sign of the cross for sure. All right. So, but with that perception, right? And you're not one of those that are been really struggling with your environment because you don't really know any better. You have parents that are so
Yeah.
loving. Then you go to
Well,
school, or go ahead, tell me.
school was extremely important. Like my parents made sure that education was everything. So I did whatever it could. Like I stayed in my room. I was like in my mom's, the way my mom puts it, she was the perfect child. I was like, was I, mother? But I would just go home, do my work, do my schoolwork, do my schoolwork. But I mean, in our day, it was, you could tell that race was a thing. As much as people are like, no, nobody had to suffer. My parents suffered worse than what I had to suffer. My I'm lucky that time started changing as I was growing up. But I would sit, like we would go places like say a pizza place, like we'd go to Little Caesars at the time. I'd sit somewhere and the lady next to me wouldn't want to sit next to me because I was like a disgusting, dark child. So
Oh,
at that time, because I played it out, because say me being Latin, if I'm out of the sun, I lighten up. If I'm in the sun, I get really dark.
yeah, yeah.
But I
Same here.
remember moments like that where people didn't want to be near me because it's like ill. And then I would think I didn't understand, but my mom would just hug me. And I was like, oh, everything's okay. And then I remember dolls. I never found dolls that looked like me. Usually they were blonde. And I remember when Cabbage Patch Kids came out, the
Yeah,
biggest thing ever, because you could actually get like a doll that looked like you. And that was
right.
just the biggest deal in the world, where, wow, this one has a tan like me too, and it has dark hair. So,
Yeah,
and it had brown eyes. The fact that it had brown eyes, I was like, oh
right. I didn't even think of that. Of course, I wouldn't think of that. But of course, it
my God.
would affect you. Absolutely.
Oh, it did. Like Wonder Woman, that's why Wonder Woman was also a big deal for me, because she was the only out of, I'm not saying that there wasn't any other dark haired women on TV, but for some reason, she was the only one that I saw in like TV shows that were like dark hair like mine.
Yeah,
Like I would watch like, 80s TV shows, and usually everybody's like lighter hair, but
yeah,
she had black hair.
right.
And I'd see her and think, wow, I want to be her.
How did you handle that? Like, how did it make you feel when that woman didn't want to sit next to you?
It made me feel like there was something like it. Well, there's something wrong with me. Like, what was something wrong? Well, that's why I have like this. Everybody will always compliment me, or they'll say, "Oh, you're pretty," or "You're cute." Well, I'm like, no, I. That doesn't matter to me. In my mind, I guess I have like maybe ugly duckling syndrome or something. I don't know how to describe or how to call it, but I mean, it keeps me humble. So I think like, okay, I never felt like I either looks wise, there's something I'm not what people or society says I should have looked like. And I'm cool with that. Now as an adult, yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with being a good person and a good soul. We're gonna get older, and our looks are gonna change. It's always gonna change. Like we're not gonna be what we once was. And I'm fine as long as the soul's good, as long as the heart and the intentions are good.
But
All that matters.
I love that you've processed that now, which is amazing. But I can also understand that the pain that comes with that when you're trying to figure it out and now you're not feeling pretty, and how that can actually also hurt you when you can't even accept a compliment.
Yeah. But that took years. That took years for that. I know it's like when I got older, then my teeth weren't really that great, and it's just all these things. Like even in wrestling, like I couldn't understand when people would say like the culture shock of wrestling when people said I was pretty. It was just like, what? Okay, I don't get it, but whatever. Like that was probably that one person's perspective, or maybe they're just like not really looking at me, or they just would like anything. Like I couldn't accept any compliments. And somebody actually told me in high school, they're like, Melina, just accept the compliment. Because I didn't realize that every time he was complimenting me, and it was a friend that lived in the neighborhood, he said, every time I'm trying to be nice to you and you just won't let me be nice. And I was like, oh, it didn't occur to me that I wasn't letting someone be nice.
Yes, because a lot of times we just want to throw it back because we're just like, oh, no, I'm not. And we don't realize how much damage we're doing to the person that's giving us the compliment.
Yes.
Instead of just saying, thank you so much, even if you don't believe it. So that has to be hard, though. The fact that you picked a career that is based on not just talent, but it is also based on looks. So that had to be hard to pick a career and now be in a room full of other women that are so beautiful. Tell me how you process that.
Oh my goodness. Now you're thinking of like all these things. It's so weird. You're making me actually realize how, I guess I never really came to terms with all that, like compliments and how I saw myself until later. Cause I was always in denial. Like I'm thankful that everybody has different tastes. Everybody has different viewpoints of what's beautiful. And some people like dark. Some people like light. You know what I mean? When it comes to skin or hair and whatever. Some people love tall. Some people love short. I've come like now I love that that's all out there. People are very more expressive, that they love variety, and it's okay to not look a certain way. Right. So I love all of this now. But back then I just told myself, like when I won my first contest, like that's what changed my world. I was supposed to be a medical assistant. I wanted to be a doctor.
Oh, wow.
So the medical field was everything to me. So that was
you and me both. That's where I was going. Well, we took a right turn from that one.
Didn't it? And that like really messed me up when I went into like entertainment. It was like, well, I'm not helping people. But the fans made me realize I still chose a profession that helped people, just not in the way I thought.
Yeah.
So, but that contest changed my world because I saw myself as ugly for so long that that moment in time made me think, again, didn't say think physically. I'm like, oh my goodness, they picked me because they saw the inner beauty that shined out. That's what I told myself, that it was all about inner beauty, and people can see inner beauty through the way you carry yourself or the way you act. Yeah. So that's the way I felt. So it started making me brave to do contests, to do things that I've never tried before, to start losing my fear of everything. So whether it was about how people perceive me physically or how I saw myself, I needed to break out. So when I did wrestling, to be amongst beautiful women, it was just like, wow, like everybody's so beautiful here, like everybody's so gorgeous. But what made me happy about being a part of that locker room was that now I'm a part of a group that loved what I loved, because wrestling wasn't something that, girls liked. You're stupid, or you're an idiot, or you're weird if you like wrestling. Like amongst my female friends, they just
Right.
thought I was the weird girl. It's like,
Yeah.
Melina, when are you gonna like real or normal things? Why are you so weird? I'm like, oh, sorry. They love me no matter what, but I was always the weird one.
Yeah.
So to be a part of the wrestling locker room, that was like, finally I'm around other women who like what I like. And look at them, how pretty they are. And actually, that made me finally embrace my feminine side, where it was like, I never put on makeup. I never wore dresses, never wore skirts. It made me want to like dress up and
Yeah.
embrace that side of me.
That's awesome. So you saw it as a positive, and you saw it as something to like embrace, but you were still okay with the fact that you weren't feeling pretty, but you were next to this pretty girl?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I guess me being the ugly duckling, I always felt like I I have a knack for seeing the best in people, and everybody has something to contribute that I can't. And I was very secure when it came to that I had something to contribute that nobody else can.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Did you have a lot of friends in school?
It's like yes and no. It's the weirdest thing. It's like people were always changing. So like the moving, I always found new friends, but then I'd make friends because I'm always the girl who, I guess, if we all felt out of place, I found the people who felt like the way I did. We were all out of place together.
Mm. And you felt out of place because of your looks, because of your culture,
Because
because
of the culture, I
culture.
guess. Like,
Yeah.
because it's so weird. Even though there was a lot of Hispanics, like more Hispanics started coming in, but it was like sometimes I was the token, and then I'd find other tokens. And it was like not only ethnic wise, but
Yeah.
even some people were the nerds, and not everybody didn't like appreciate the nerds, or even the goth kids or whatnot. Like everybody just felt out of place. We all were out of place together.
So that must have helped you, especially though I'm thinking that it probably was hard because you moved around so much. As soon as you started creating friends, you had to go somewhere else.
Yeah, it was really painful because it's like I missed the people that understood me. But
Yeah.
then you find new people, and I guess because we're young, we're resilient. But still, I remember hurting each time I moved because I'd start crying because I'm like, I miss Stella, I miss this person, I miss Nikki, like all these people. I'm like, oh, broke my heart.
Right.
And then again, well, no, you're right, because then when I reached junior high, that's when it really hit that I would always find the outsiders and we'd hang out. But when I reached junior high and I was the new girl, everybody at that point in time had their cliques. And
Oh.
that point in time, the new girl was not only weird, but it's like you don't belong anywhere.
Oh,
So I
wow.
think eighth grade was the hardest one for me at that point because nobody wanted to let me in.
So is that when you became more of like you want to be isolated?
Oh yeah. I totally did.
Yeah.
Well, I just stuck to whatever I was doing and just I think maybe I got even quieter. I was always shy and always had a way of like being quiet, but that made me so much more quiet. And then in high school, thank goodness freshman year, I found a group that was just, we're all outsiders again. Found it just like I normal, and then we found each other.
Did you move around a lot when you moved to high school? Or were you a little bit more stable then?
No, stable in high school. Thank goodness
Ah,
I was
that's
there,
nice.
the same place last 4 years.
All right. So the most difficult things that you experienced in high school?
So oh my goodness. Like, well, I guess it's trying to figure out who I am. I started like going from great grades to not so great grades. But it's like everybody else trying to figure out who you are and what place and what purpose do you serve. But I was very thankful to have great, like, see all the things that I've had was the loss of family, the crazies of like say family life where you always have a person who's just like the crazy one in family. But no, most of the stuff that happened was after the fact. Like, say in high school, my dad, he got assaulted. It was, who knows? We say it might have been race. Who knows? Maybe it's just a group of kids who just wanted to be awful people. But we had a Latin music store.
Yeah.
So my dad went to go get merchandise, and my brother and I were partying, not partying like hardcore. It's high school. We were
Yeah.
good kids, but at the same time going to like a Halloween party that was like really bad. We didn't tell our parents. And my dad said he was coming home, and we thought, oh crap, we got to go back. We got to go back to the house. So we went back to the house, acted like, oh, we were here the whole entire time. And my dad comes through the door, and he's gushing blood out of his head. And I started screaming, and I saw my grandfather, and he had his face bruised up and his mouth all swollen. And I didn't understand what happened. But he was driving from getting merchandise for the Latin music store. And apparently kids try to get into his car at a stoplight. And my dad got out, like opened up the door. He shouldn't have opened up the door, but he opened up the door to think like, hey, what's going on? And they just grabbed him and started beating him.
Oh, wow.
My grandfather went, and he went to go cover him up. Like he covered him up to say, please stop. And then they started beating my grandfather.
Oh, wow.
And something like that, where I'm like, how do human beings act this way?
Yeah.
Why do they, like, I don't understand. So no matter what it is, I'm like, if they're trying to like be crazy, if it's out of race, if it's out of because they just felt like it in the moment, I don't understand. But then when you come, like, I don't understand as it is. When I came to my grandfather, why would you do that to an old man?
Yeah.
Why would you do like, does that make you feel strong? Does that make you tough? Does it make you feel like you're in control of your life? That you don't do that.
Right.
He could have died.
Understand. Yeah. Yeah. What did that do? So when that happened, how did you process that? Like, did that leave any scarring on you?
Right. Not on how I interact with the world, but it made me so angry. Like, I think if any point in time, like if I ever felt like I wanted to hurt anybody, it would have been that time. Because I was so angry at what somebody did to my grandfather. Like, I was so angry. Like, I could understand, like, in a moment like that. Not that I would say, hey, somebody, it's okay to kill someone. Like, I would never say anything like that. Never.
Right.
Like, you should never, if you ever feel like anything like that, that's when you're like, okay, I need to do something to control my anger. Because even though anger is a normal feeling to have, it's not, we are highly, okay, we have functional brains, smart, highly functional brains that no other creature on this earth have, that we have this gift of having our brains to be able to tell us we should not do this action. We need to calm ourselves down, and anger is okay, but the way we react is totally different. So I understand, but at that point in time, I was like, I understand how a person could feel that enough anger to want to hurt someone.
Right. How did you stand down? How did you calm that anger? Do you remember?
To be there for my family, be there for my family. Like we family units or friends, and family comes into all different forms. That's what I learned about life too. It's not always blood. It's also friends.
Yep.
It's friends. And you could find that support, and you're around each other, and you help each other.
Yeah.
You help each other.
No, I love that. Well, I mean, I appreciate you sharing that, because I like to talk, obviously about the wins in life, but I also like to talk about the struggles, like I was asking you, because so many lessons are learned in the struggles, and so many things, when they do happen, we can talk about it and help other people that might be struggling as well.
But people think because they don't see struggles that everybody has their life together. And it's not. It's just talking about the struggles isn't the easiest thing.
I know.
It is. It's hard. It's hard to say, like, oh, either this has happened to me or I screwed up. It happens. Everybody screws up. Everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's just what we do after it. It's like, okay, even if you don't make the best choices and after the fact, it's okay.
Yeah.
As long as you realize, hey, we have choices. We can make it better. Things happen to each and every one of us. And it's, you sulk in it, you let it digest, you do what you need to do to be okay within yourself, and then you take action.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I agree. That's exactly why, with this show, we get real, we get raw, we get right down to it, but then it becomes inspiring, because it is inspiring when you learn from all of that. I want to ask you, with WWE, your journey, looking back at your journey, we talked about the fact that you couldn't really, at the time, you didn't take the time to appreciate those wins. Do you know why? What was going on in your mind?
Well, just trying to survive each day. Like I get maybe I wondered, okay, so this is good because this is all therapeutic for me. We're opening up here. Because I'm thinking maybe I always was the weird kid that was out of place because I was that when I was younger. As much as like I'm always happy and everything's great. In those moments, yeah, I was always the oddball or things weren't always that great. I just wanted to go home. But I always had something positive to look at. My frame of mind as a kid. So for me, that's how I overcame depression and all this stuff because I thought back, how did I react when I was a kid? How did I get through things as I was a kid? I was strong. How was a child strong? And
Mm-hmm.
as an adult, I should be able to be that person again. So it made me realize like, okay, I want to be that happy. I want to be the child that found a way to overcome, to be like, okay, let's look on the bright side. Let's, keep moving. So my child, the person that I was as a child was actually strong. And I admire that ability. But sometimes throughout life we forget because obviously, again, I was like the weird one out. And in wrestling, I felt like I was the odd one out still, even though I
Why?
found a group.
Do you know why you felt odd or weird out, weird one out?
I think I do take somewhat of a perspective, like to take a little bit of blame where I put myself in that position, probably because that's what I'm used to. But also, we're in an environment that I don't like. I see it now, and I don't think people realize that they put me in that position. But I think that sometimes people had to put up walls, shut people out, or maybe even get upset at somebody because that's what they needed to do for themselves to get by. So I feel like sometimes I was a scapegoat sometimes because it made somebody else feel like that's what they needed to do. They didn't make them bad people. It's what they needed to do for their ability to survive that environment. Because sometimes didn't make like that environment as great as it was, because it was great. I'm very appreciative for all the things like experiences, moments, things we got to do, places we got to see. Like as much as there were so many great things, there also were we're all in a cage together. And what happens when you put what is it, mice? When you put mice in a cage that are too small for they can't move around and breathe, they start eating each other, don't they? They start killing each other off or something.
I think so, yeah.
I feel like that's what we did unknowingly. We did that because it's just there wasn't any break. We were in each other's face all the time. And so, but that's why I see you guys like my sisters. These are my sisters because you don't always get along. Sisters don't always get along.
Right.
That's the way family is. Sometimes you butt heads. Sometimes you share the best of moments.
Yeah.
But I know it was hard to understand each other's personality type. And I know if I didn't speak and tell you guys like how my personality was and how I what I was thinking and how I reacted, you couldn't understand. So I do take blame in that. But I was so shy that I didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And then seeing in perspective of other people, and that's why they kind of they didn't want to open up to me because I was too nice, because I was fake. Sometimes I see that if you tell people your personal information, they sometimes use it against you. So you built up a wall that gives you fear of letting person know everything about you, because then they use it for something like that.
What was used against you? Like,
Thank goodness nothing bad, but I remember people were throwing in my face, saying oh, well, you were married and da 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 da. It's why would you even bring that up? Just because it was a moment where they wanted to make me cry. And I was like, what? Why are you saying that? What does that have to do with anything?
Right.
Because I was married, it didn't. But it's like young people being young.
Yeah.
Saying stupid things to each other, not having a true intention, or not even having a resolution or a reason for why we are doing this.
Right.
It's like they didn't really bring up a scenario where what was the purpose of bringing it up?
Yeah.
Nothing. Okay. But that's why when I heard that, I was like, well, I told her about my wedding, me getting married. You didn't know about it. So that made me think you told her, and she's telling her. And then it was all this crazy. I'm like, why is everybody saying stuff? Like, what does it matter what I did in my past and all this stuff? So that made me even closed off even more, where I'm like, I'm not going to talk to anybody.
I hear you.
What's going to happen if I say anything about anything? Like, that's so weird.
Think about it too, because especially with WWE, right? It was more, at the time, it was more about the men. It was less about the women. And when the women were on, it was one match, maybe. And it was 2 to 3 minutes. You're fighting for your spot. You've got all these women, they're fighting for your spot. So instead of being able to help each other, it's like you get into an environment and the perception, right? Your mentality is, I've got to just claw, and I got to push this. There's not enough room for everyone. And I got to claw, and I got to claw. So we're learning that, right? As the more we talk about all of this, we're learning about what an environment like that will breed. I love the fact that it has really expanded and it's turned into what it has turned into in the space that women now have. You actually were part of, we talk about now it being first ever Women's Royal Rumble and the Battle Royals and the Elimination Chamber and all. But the fact that you had the first ever Women's Falls Count Anywhere match, dude, that's amazing.
Oh, no, I love it. I'm very proud of that. I'm very excited. I was like, it's that added to like, these are my dreams coming true. Like, I can't believe that they trusted us with this. Part of me is like wished, because I was a manager for so long, that I wish that I reached the level of like deserving. Like, I wanted to be undeniable and amazing. Like, I wanted to learn more, because I guess because I don't know, I had a level of what I wanted to be. And so for all of that to happen so fast, so soon, I thought I was undeserving. So in my mind, I was telling myself I was undeserving. But when I had the title, that's when I was like, no, I got to make this count. I got to make this mean something. Like, I need to step up. It wasn't about like there wasn't any worth in the title or anything like that. No, I know people twist words around. So that's why I like explain things, because I've experienced that too.
But tell me, what was misunderstood, so that if people don't know, you can go ahead and
that the title, when the way I said, I got to make this mean something, it didn't mean like the title. The title is already incredible. What I needed to make mean, like what the title run, me in that position, I need to make my time count, and I need to step up to be better for the title, be better for the storyline, be better for the person that I'm working with. I needed to be better.
Right. So you're just encouraging yourself, and somebody took it completely out of context.
Yes. It tends to happen. I'm like, oh, just like recently on Twitter, I said like, I can't do wrestling for very much longer. And everybody started taking it as, she's retired. Like, no, I didn't say I was retired.
But that does sound like that. So what does that mean? Because I would take it like that.
I just feel like I probably have like 1 or 2 years left in me, like to do wrestling still. Like, I'll always be a part of wrestling somehow and go watch and maybe help if there's ever a place that needs my help. Yeah. And maybe manage, but I don't see myself like actually being in the ring for a long longer than.
Is that because of your body, or is that because you're just a little burnout?
Not both. It's times are changing, things are different, and it's like, I was always a great character, and it's kind of hard because I'm such a baby face everywhere in the indies that I'm like, can't be a heel. I miss doing that. and everybody's doing flippy doos and like doing all this crazy stuff, and I was like, my body can't take that.
Yeah. How is your body doing after all these years wrestling?
Thank goodness, knock on, let me find wood to knock on. But knock on wood, it's not bad. Like I don't have as much pain in my ankle when I had the ankle surgery. Yeah. So after 2 plates and 6 screws in my ankle, that used to hurt a lot. But now through therapy and moving my ankle around and everything, it's actually, I feel a lot better. But my knee is the one that's killing me. So my knees, sometimes they start clicking and they're weird. So I got to make sure to not do crazy stuff because I dislocated it 2 years ago too. So I'm like, okay, not as young as I used to be.
Right.
This is Chasing Glory with Lilian Garcia.
I am so fascinated to continue listening to Melina's story, and I promise to get right back to it. But first, I just want to tell you about something that is so important because it's so helpful. Are any of you or anyone you know experiencing anxiety, depression, insomnia, like a hard time going to sleep, overall well-being, your immune system is down, you've got inflammation? How about clarity? Like you just can't think right. Like you feel like you need more and more coffee to try to stay awake. Or how about body pains? Are you suffering from arthritis? Or how about dealing with chemotherapy? Like you are a cancer patient or you know someone that's going through cancer and is having a hard time with the after effects of chemotherapy, like feeling that nausea and vomiting that comes with it. Well, this is why I'm interrupting this show so that I can tell you about something that is so helpful with all of these elements, and that is CBD, and that is by Cured Nutrition. curednutrition.com/glory. Now, let me tell you about Cured Nutrition. This product came my way, and it was through someone that I value their opinion a lot. They were promoting it on their show. And so I asked my friend, what is this all about? Because I keep hearing about CBD products. So he's like, oh man, I have tried them all. I have really done my research, and Cured Nutrition is above all the best. So I was like, all right, I'm interested. Let me try these products. I did. Wow, the difference. And then when my dad was sick, he had cancer, I was giving him this because regular medication was giving him such anxiety, making it even worse. Also constipation, because pain pills will get you constipated. So put it this way, he was not comfortable at all. So I reached out to Cured Nutrition, tried them out, and I'm telling you, they are by far an amazing company, incredible results. So I just had to get them on Chasing Glory. They love the show too, so they're one of the big sponsors for Chasing Glory, and we appreciate them. So I just want to help you guys out by telling you all about it. Colorado company. Go to curednutrition.com. You will see all the products there, and you will see what's best for you, whether it's an oil, a tincture, a nibble, or a chocolate cookie dough cookie. I mean, yummy. Why not? They also have spices. And then when I told you about the pain in the body, you can actually put the balm on the body. So it's kind of like a roll-on. It's so easy to apply. So if you have a pulled muscle or anything like that, or arthritis in your back, just put some of that balm on. All right, so try it for yourself, and you're going to get 15% off your entire order. That's to all my Chasing Glory listeners out there. Make sure that you use the promo code GLORY. So that's curednutrition.com/glory, promo code GLORY. Cured is CURED, nutrition NUTRITION.com/glory. Promo code GLORY. curednutrition.com/glory, promo code GLORY for 15% off your entire order. Good luck to you. All right, now back to the show.
Now, more Chasing Glory with Lilian Garcia.
Let me ask you this. Your transition from WWE into back into the real world, how was that for you?
Thank goodness it wasn't as hard as it was I've seen some people go through, because through the injuries, I think the injuries were what actually helped me, because going home and being at home for all that time and being with my family puts me in check. They're like, you're still Melina, you're still, PJ's little sister. He makes sure to keeps me in check. He humbles me all the time, but in the most loving way. Thank goodness I have a really great brother. But it being around family and everything kept me like okay about being normal and being humble and down to earth.
And
but
that Melina, I was just going to say, hold that thought. And I would say too, because this is kind of what I stress, that Melina is not wrestler. You happen to do that as a job, but that's not who you are.
Yes, and that's really important for me, because I think that need, when I was Melina the wrestler, people never saw Melina.
Right.
So it was kind of like a blur where, especially being a heel, everybody hated me. Like I felt like I people could say like in an expression like the world hates you, but in that point in time, the wrestling world hated me.
Yeah.
Everybody, whether they were in Italy or the UK, Australia, China, the world hated me, hated Melina. So it was like it was hard because nobody saw the Melina Perez Melina. So when people would meet me, they'd assume, oh, you're just a bitch.
Oh, you mean
You're a
afterwards?
shady ass bitch. Yeah,
Wow.
during and then afterwards
Well,
too.
yeah.
Like even now, I think sometimes some promotions might not hide, like they don't actually contact me because they're afraid. They're like, oh, is she a diva? Because I've heard she's a diva. There's so many crazy rumors where it's like, I asked for first class and I asked for this and I asked for all this. I'm like, no, I don't ask for all these things. I just want to
Yeah.
be a part of wrestling. Like that's not me. But people believed in the dirt sheets. They believed in the rumors. They believed in like the persona.
Yeah.
The persona that.
So what about the fact that you haven't been asked to be in the Royal Rumble or Evolution or anything like that that's happening? I mean, how has that made you feel? And can you process maybe why you haven't been asked?
Well, what I've learned through wrestling, like being in it or being in the WWE, was that when we were in it, we would always think the same thing. Like, why aren't we doing this storyline? Why are the girls not able to have this kind of match? Why is this like, there were so many whys that at a certain point, I'm like, you know what? Why am I doing this to myself? I can't ask the whys because I'm going to drive myself crazy. So I learned that there's usually no rhyme or reason. There's nothing specific. It's just whatever's going on in that moment that they're doing whatever that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't drive myself crazy wondering why. It just is what it is. So when I see the Royal Rumble, I learned to develop this thing where I laugh at everything. So when I hear that, I'm like, I don't know, like I just laugh and I think, it is what it is. But I do admit, like there's a little part of me that thinks like, that would have been nice. Like I would like to think or feel that I was a part of, creating or help maintain. Like I felt like our generation, like the diva era, we kept it together when everybody hated us, when everybody kept saying, oh, well, this is a pee break or this is a bathroom break and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like people were mean. They wouldn't give us a chance, even if we wrestled our hearts out. We gave our all in an era where people just refused because what I feel like is when Trish and Lita left, there was a backlash because their favorite people left. And I don't blame them. Like, that was painful. It's kind of like when, Game of Thrones, when the last episode happened, everybody's angry. And no matter what they made the last final episode.
I was not happy.
But if you think about it, Lilian, no matter what they created, no matter what they wrote, everybody was going to be angry. Yeah, everybody's going to hate it because it's the fact that your favorite show is ending.
Yeah.
So there's just no way of doing something the way everybody wanted it. People are just going to be angry because it's the last show. Yeah. So the same with when Lita and Trish left. No matter what happened, no matter what era it was, even if they had every woman being badass wrestler, filling every spot, people would still hate it because their favorite people aren't there anymore. So there was going to be a backlash no matter what. So we kept it together. When people were angry, when people booed us, we kept it together, and we made people love watching. I still see women still trying to be divas, whether they're like, "No, I'm a female wrestler." Like, I still see you trying to be a diva. Yeah, I don't care what you say. I still see you trying to be a diva, and that's okay.
So it didn't bother you. The diva era didn't bother you at all.
No. It was beautiful. Like, I still tell people to this day, like, the girls I work with had heart. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't have to try. They didn't have to go and either train or because they wanted to train. They wanted to learn. They listened. They had passion. Yeah. There's some people who have a lot of training and they're gifted athletically, but they don't have the passion that these girls did. Mm-hmm. They have I give them all the credit in the world. And people want to get upset like, oh, well, that could have been a spot that somebody else. Well, it could have, but the WWE gave them a contract. and it's not their fault for accepting that contract. They'd be
Right.
crazy not to, you know what I mean? No, give anybody a contract and say, here, you want to work for the WWE? And not everybody, but most cases, people will be like, yeah, I don't care. Just,
Absolutely.
I want to be a part of that. Yeah.
Right.
Can't blame them for that. That's an opportunity.
Right.
And
Right.
they did the best in their position.
Yes. I
And
totally agree.
sometimes, yeah, I don't blame them at all. But they went in there and they stepped in the ring. They didn't have to. They could have denied it. They could have declined it. But they're like, no, I want to learn.
Yeah.
Like, that was awesome.
So let me ask you this, because when you don't get asked to come back for Evolution or Royal Rumble or anything like that, the internet wants to say you've got heat with the WWE. I want you to be the one to say yay, nay, or what the deal is, or if you know, or what. Just set the story straight on your end.
Well, I always tell people, I'm like, I couldn't imagine having heat because I was like, I did everything I was told. I was a good employee. Like, I was like, But then at the same time, that's giving me too much credit. Where I'm like, I did something awful. Like, okay, but it's intriguing because I remember back in the day, people would say like, I got people fired, and I was like, I can't even keep my own job. How am I gonna like get people fired? And if I had that kind of stroke, like, wouldn't I like get like this ultimate storyline that's undeniable that would keep me in wrestling forever? You know what I mean? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So the heat thing, I'm like, I don't know if I can't speak for anybody, but I don't think so. Like, I couldn't imagine. I did everything I was told. They were nice to me when they let me go.
I was going to say, what was that conversation as to why they let you go?
A creative had nothing for me.
Okay.
I was like, Melina, I'm Melina. But I mean, granted, that's what I thought. I was like, I'm Melina, of course, you have, like, you could create for Melina. She could do anything. But at the same time, I knew, I was like, there was a sense of relief. I was relieved when I got let go. And it's nothing like against WWE where, you know what I mean? What happened was I was injured twice. I never really took time off, real time off. And throughout the things I've been through, like, I needed to get my mind straight. I needed peace. I needed to just take a break. And I told them, they asked me, they're like, why aren't you crying? Because apparently I cry all the time because I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, you do cry a lot.
Oh, no, I'm going to. I think I'm sensitive.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
And so when I didn't cry, they asked me, like, you're not going to cry? I was like, no, because I really did believe, like, you see, being in the business, you see people leave, come back, leave, come back. So I said, I know there will be a time when I come back. Like, it's not the end. So I was secure in that, knowing that wasn't the end.
But the fact that you haven't come back, now has that been one of those, well, maybe you don't come back? Are you okay with not coming back?
I'm okay. Like, because maybe that plays a factor. I don't know, but I'm secure in what I've done. And regardless if I've come to terms, like, I guess back then before people started acknowledging me, because it's not until recently people were looking back at videos and matches that I've had and actually really appreciating them or being able to be open about it, because it was taboo to like Melina. And now people are starting to see it and like it. And it makes me, when people tell me I'm going to be in the Hall of Fame and whatnot, I tell them it's okay if I'm not. Like, I saw China, she deserved to be in it, and she wasn't in it for so long that I'm like, see, that's proof right there that even a person who's deserving, like, it's not, I knew she was supposed to be in there, but she wasn't. Mm-hmm. And it's okay. Because I'm not in there doesn't mean I wasn't deserving. I was secure in what I've accomplished. And Melina, the human being Melina, will survive. Will survive regardless.
Yeah.
And it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to be like, there's everybody, sometimes when your TV or wrestling persona is no longer valued, it kind of hurts a person's ego and how they carry themselves in the real life. And I know that's painful. But I realized, I'm like, you know what? I'm still okay. I'm still Melina. I'm still strong. I'm still creative. I'm still happy. And that's the part I needed to find, was to find that happiness and that value outside of the ring.
But that's the part that I always say is sometimes the hardest is the transition. It's the same thing as a regular person goes off and becomes a soldier. And
Yes,
then there are
I tell people
times
that too. PTSD. There is
you got it.
PTSD in it.
You got
How
it.
do
You
you
come
how do you
back into
adjust to
reality
regular life when people
again.
see you as normal? When I do admit that I'm okay being me outside regular life, but where it does affect me, where because I tell people, a lot of people are like, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. And people think I'm going to get offended to that. Or when people who are wrestlers don't know who I am. And then other people are like, come on, like that's disrespectful. I say, it's okay. I don't mind
Yeah.
because, you know, if they don't know, they don't know. It
Right.
doesn't offend me. It doesn't hurt me. I don't get angry. I'm like,
Right.
no, it's okay. Cause I'm used to it now. But I do see how like sometimes it's like, ooh, it hurts. But where it affects me is relationship wise. It's hard. Like I'm single. I'm single. Everybody. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, it does affect me where I try to be normal, and then to deny that you used to be a wrestler and that you are these things. It's like, well, I'm not normal. I'm all
Yeah.
these things wrapped up into one. So it is hard to adjust of like who you were and who you are now. And you have to come to terms with I'm all of it at once, even if I'm a part of that still or not.
Yeah. Do you feel that, you had a relationship with John Morrison and then you had a relationship with Batista? So do you feel like they understood you because they were in this, you guys are in the same field?
No, I guess I just trying to find somebody who's understanding to for everything, me as a human being. Because dating somebody within wrestling, yeah, they understand wrestling, but at the same time, they don't understand. Or at back then, there wasn't an understanding of what you go through as a female in the female locker room, or in the female wanting a certain kind of storyline or what you're trying to accomplish. There's still a disconnect because they're going through what they go through in their world,
Yeah.
and when we were going through what we went through in our world. And so and this is all relationships across the board. So whether it's a person who's in wrestling or a person outside of wrestling, there's always going to be, there are plus and minuses. There are positive and negatives.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be that. But you would think that dating a person outside of wrestling, they accept you for who you are, and there's this home life where you get to unwind and disconnect and recharge. But at the same time, a person outside of wrestling is always worried about who you interact with inside of wrestling, them not understanding what you go through. It's just finding whether it's in wrestling or outside. There's no better what's better or not. It's just finding that one person that understands both.
Right. Right. Now, you touched on the fact that you had suffered depression. Was that early on?
No.
Or all through? Because I like to talk about mental health and the fact that it is so prevalent and people don't want to talk about it. And I think we need to talk about it.
No, definitely, because I've heard stories of people, their traumas and depression started when they were younger because they've been either abused or bullied, and gone through stuff in life as child. So that became their foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Or for me, what happened is even though I went through hardships and our family went through struggles, and it never affected me because I had my family.
Right.
And because emotionally, I thought like I was strong. I felt strong. I felt confident. I felt like I knew what I wanted and how to act because what my family taught me. But my traumas came later on in life because going from my family who I trusted, and I thought in wrestling everybody was my family, and I trusted, it kind of made me naive and vulnerable in a sense where like sometimes you don't realize you trust the wrong people. And that's everyone across the board. It's not just me, like, oh, just me. But sometimes you trust the wrong people and you think that they have your best interests at heart. And then really they just abuse that and take advantage of your trust or their position.
Right.
So for me, when it came to my form of bullying or my form of like, let's shut her out and all this stuff, it was harder for me because I kept thinking, I'm going to adult. This shouldn't be this shouldn't be happening. We're adults and this is our job. And why is all these things happening? So me feeling like I never belonged, no one seeing me for who I am, because people don't realize that because I was reading some stuff when it came to depression, of how people see people in television. And it's like, why? You have money, you're on TV, you have friends, you have everything that you could want. And I remember having my brother tell me that. He was never mean about it, but he would tell me, you have everything. Why would you even ever have your mind think about wanting to commit suicide? And he said, that's the problem right there. Everyone thinks I have everything and I don't. You have people who, you don't have great relationships. You have relationships. So thank goodness, like, you have relationships that fail, and not just fail, you get cheated on or whatnot. You think there's something wrong with you. Then me, I also experienced sexual assault. And then, so that plays a part. And you think, what's wrong with you? People don't see that you're suffering, and they just dismiss it, because apparently money and being in the public eye means that you have support, and you don't. You don't know who to trust, because sometimes people just want to be your friend because you're a name.
Yeah.
And then it's like you're seen by everyone, but no one sees you.
Yeah.
And no one listens to you. Like, you could openly say, I'm hurting, and they're like, yeah, whatever. And then that's even more lonely. That makes you more, because I just said I'm hurting and you just dismissed it.
Right.
So then you seclude yourself, and then you put a bigger wall. And then you meet people that you think like, oh, they're acting in your own best interest. And then they hurt you. And then that builds another wall. You're even lonelier because you don't know who to trust. You don't know what's real and what's not real.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's even lonelier. No matter how much money you got or how many people are following you on Instagram or Twitter.
Well, dude, I mean, they talk about the fact that, the rich, I mean, like the really rich, some of the highest suicide rates are the most wealthiest people. I think it's because they also probably find out they get there, they make the money, they're still unhappy, and they go, holy cow, we worked all this hard and we thought that meant happiness. Having a certain amount of money meant happiness. They find out that no, that does not mean happiness. So therefore, everything is gone from my perception of what life is, and therefore I'm going to take my life. Now, thank God, what has stopped you from not, first of all, thank you for being so open about the sexual assault. And as far as I know, you just touched on it, and then, thinking about committing suicide.
It's taken years to be able to talk about it. So I always tell people, when you realize this is going on, don't worry about what everybody else is going to think. Just think, what can I do for myself to make myself better, or to help me get through this?
Right.
That's the main priority. Don't think about everybody else. Don't think about what everybody's going to say, how everybody's going to react. How can I help myself to make it through this?
Right.
That's the important part. So when it comes to, like, to me, the assault and the depression, the suicide is like two different things to touch base on how to deal with it, or possibilities. But what happened for me was more, somebody caught me before anything happened to me. So when that happened, it was like a grace of God, where somebody like I cared about walked in and found me.
Where were you? Can you take me back? Because I don't know the complete story on this at all.
Yeah, I don't really open up and talk about it, because one, I don't want people to imitate it and to recreate it, because it's like I don't want people to say to do that action.
I love that. Please don't. But was it before WWE?
No, it's during.
Oh, okay, got it.
So I think yeah, it was so long ago. I think it was during my leg injury, where all this stuff was going on, and then I'm not wrestling. All of a sudden, I hated life. When it comes to depression, when it comes to thinking about suicide, it's a series of events. It's not something that just happens. It's a series of, not just series of events, but also a series of things you tell yourself. And you don't think, everyone's like, why why can't people think of who they're affecting why they're affecting everybody around them and they get so angry about that? You think about the people around you and you tell yourself you're better off or they're better off without you. A lot of times the people who care and have the biggest hearts are the ones that say, well, everybody's lives would be better if I wasn't here. And not only you have your emotional suffering, you're living your personal hell in your mind, you don't know how to get out of it. But when you think about your family, you think they'll be fine. They'll be fine. And so it's all this emotional breakdown until you realize, you think in your mind, it's time. I can't do this anymore. And when I got found, I was like, why? Like, it was more like what's going on than why. And like, oh, I'm fucking everything up. I even fucked this up. Like, this couldn't even happen to me. So it was just like, I was so upset. But then at the same time, it's like, okay, after years, it's like, why am I still here? Kind of like a little form of survivor's guilt, where it's kind of like, why am I still here when there's other people not here that should be here with us? So I would just trying to find purpose of why do I exist? And I keep thinking that either part of it's my soul thinking, it's part in me to not give up, or I have a purpose here that I need to do something to help other people. Like, why does all these things happen to me? Because another thing that people tell me, it's like, what doesn't kill you make you stronger. It's like, why do all these bad things have to happen for me to be stronger?
Right.
And then I thought, wow, I have an ability to be able to understand people, to relate to people, to tell them that everything's going to be okay. I now have gone through things that if I didn't go through it, I wouldn't understand anybody else. Like when it came to like the rape too, I'm such a I admit I was a horrible person in the sense of, I heard stories of this one girl that I met. I remember meeting her, and she was raped multiple times. And I'm like, how the hell does that happen? Like, how is that a person who doesn't understand,
right,
like being ignorant? Like, I'm like, I can't relate. I just couldn't relate because how does that happen? My brain couldn't wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
And then, so for me, it's happened to me more than once. And then when it happened, it's just like, put me in a deeper depression, because it's like, how does that happen? Now I was like looking at myself thinking, how does that happen? How did you let that happen? Like that. Oh, but now I understand what she went through. And it's like, if that didn't happen to me, then I wouldn't be able to help others who that's happened to, because they need somebody to relate to them.
Yeah. So
they don't face, because I do want to eventually go back to school, because I did go to school for a little while for psychology, but eventually I want to definitely go back to finish it up. I want to do psychology so I could be a therapist, so then I could help others. Because a person who hasn't gone through it, I mean, not that they're incapable of it. It's not that they're incapable of helping, but a person who understands because they've been through it helps so much more. It's like going to AA and, your sponsor is somebody who's already been through it and they've been sober for so many years. Right. That helps a lot more than a person who's never understood it. Yeah. So that's why I keep thinking this probably all happened to me because I can help somebody else. I can tell them it's okay.
Again, I thank you for talking about it, because it is your strength right now that someone's listening to this going, oh my gosh, she's saving me. She's saving me just from hearing this. Melina.
Thank you. No, but I want people to know it can get better. Yeah. And a lot of times people say, and I wrote that in a tweet or in a post, and I was trying to tell people, depression, sometimes like it's something either that's there, something that like, no matter what it is, whether it's, they call it like a disease, like it could be no matter what it is, that it's there and there's nothing you can do about it. Once it's like creeps up in you, it's there. Mm-hmm. But I do believe we do have a choice. You can't choose like in a sense of like, oh, today I choose to be happy and all of a sudden I am. No, you have to work at it. Yeah. But you have to choose to want to work at it. Right. You have to choose that I'm okay, I hurt today, but I choose to get up out of bed. That's my first step. My first job is I'm getting out of bed. Yeah. I'm going to open up the windows. all these little things, it takes time. It might take years. But once you start finally understanding that the way I react and what I do to surround myself with positivity, that's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
That's going to be worth it. And you will live a life appreciating everything that much more. Like,
right.
because of all the darkness that I've seen and the negativity that I've seen and felt, now food tastes so much sweeter.
Yeah.
You know, everything, I look at the sky and I'm like, God, it's beautiful. Like, I take the time to go into nature and be able to go to the beach and look at the sunset and the sunrise. It's so much beautifuler. And I see that I am lucky to be able to see this.
Yeah.
I'm lucky, because there's some people out there, they didn't want to, die early, but they did.
Wow.
And I got to celebrate for them.
That's the thing I was going to say is we're in a time right now being so sad about Ashley. So sad.
Yeah. And it breaks my heart because, I know I have to tell myself there's nothing, because I will dwell on it forever. And I know that there's nothing, there could have been something, but at this point there's nothing I can do. But then I think, oh man, if I would have messaged more,
we've all said that, right? But we didn't know. We didn't know. When you don't know, you don't know. I mean, the beautiful thing.
I could have told her that I understand.
Yeah. The beautiful thing, or the silver lining of it is, and Michelle McCool and I were talking about this last week, is talking about how we've now started that thread with all the, Squared Circle sisters, and we're all communicating with each other and saying, hey, we're here. You have any problems, anything, just, we're here for each other, and, reach out. And it's a support system. It's the support system that we really didn't have before. And that sometimes our own family doesn't understand, what our journey has been, in this job or any job that we would have been together. Right.
Yeah.
So I say
it's like, how do you tell people when you're, say, like for us in our group, it's like when you're going through relationships and everything, having kids and not having kids and our dogs, like all these different things, it's just living life, being what we were, and being in WWE, being a wrestler, and only we can understand each other because we've seen each other through all of it.
Right.
And I'm glad that we got close to each other. And, of course it's sad that Ashley didn't get to see that, but at the same time, it's like such a blessing, because this whole entire time, I never got to express all the things that I felt. Like I told Tori, I said, you don't understand. Like I looked up to you. I watched her in WCW. I watched everybody. So I never said that in wrestling, told everybody how I looked up to them, how I admired them, how I respected them, how I was proud of them. I know Ashley knew, but I wish I would have told her recently. I was proud of her.
Yeah.
I was proud of her. I was proud of everybody. So to be able to say that now helps me so much, because in my mind I thought, oh, well, I don't belong still. Even to this day, I felt like I didn't belong.
Really?
But that thread, us coming together, it's like, okay, now I'm not going to waste time not telling you guys how I feel.
Because you do belong.
I love you. You're an angel.
Oh, man. You made me cry. Seriously. No, I love you too. It really has been a hard time, but it really has been a beautiful thing to come together, And so I say that to people is you have to create a support system. You have to. Even if it's your neighbor, some guy that you see every day at the store. Let's just say that somebody out there is feeling very lonely right now because they say, I don't have family around me that is very supportive. I don't have, neighbors, or I don't have I'm necessarily maybe working at home. So I don't have a job that I can, have a bonding with other people that work there. So what about if you go every day to the 7-Eleven and you see the guy at the 7-Eleven every morning? Let's just say that, right? And you say good morning every day to him. How about next time start a conversation with him to get to know him a little bit? Because next thing you know, you can actually start creating a bond with this person. Next thing you know, you can say, hey, you want to go grab a beer down the street, whatever. And the next thing you know, you start that and you get to know. And this is what's been the beautiful thing, right, about doing the show. I now know more about you and the way you grew up. I understand you better. And I think that's the main thing. That was the purpose of this, is to understand each other better. Because when you do, I can see when you're shy now, I could see that you are that younger girl. You've been put in all of these different schools, and now you're trying to make new friends, and you're trying to, fit in again. And all of a sudden you go into middle school and you're not fitting in, and everyone's telling you you don't belong, and you can't even find dolls that look like you. Well, of course. All of this stuff, of course, and you're feeling like the ugly duckling. And now someone tells you at work, wow, you're very standoffish. They have no idea all the stuff that you keep telling yourself, all the things that you've been through. Your whole life is playing and rewind in your mind. And they're not in you. They don't know everything you've been through. They don't understand your silence. So that's why
everybody we interact with. That's
exactly.
why everybody's so quick to judge nowadays and just assume.
Right.
And everybody wants the same things. Everybody wants happiness and everybody wants love. Everybody wants to be a part of something. Everyone.
Tribe. We all are longing for tribe. It's going back to the cave days when the cavemen, all of that, they always had a tribe. They were around the fires in a tribe. Tribes are very important, feeling like you belong to something, but sometimes you have to be the one to step out, to be the one to create that belonging even for someone else, which is why I was saying, who knows if you're the person that goes into that 7-Eleven and you start befriending that guy at the counter, counter, you don't know that they are thinking, I have no friends, I have no purpose, I have nothing, right? So now you're the ones that's creating that bond to say, look, let's try to form a friendship here. And if for some reason that person is shy or cool, whatever, go to the next person, or give them a little bit more time to come out of their shell, because you don't know what they've been through. So
exactly. I always try my best to always smile. Well, okay. So the way I got through everything, so this is what I implore people. If you're what happened to me is I, being very quiet, very shy, stubborn too, in the fact of I do not want to be a burden to anybody else. Yeah. So because I got better and then hit another form of depression when I got raped again and everything. Then everything started falling apart. I didn't want to leave the house. I was always worried about who's what's going to happen. I couldn't socialize because I kept thinking, if I'm in certain, no matter what scenario, what if something happens? What if this happens? And I was paranoid, scared, really couldn't trust people. I felt relationships fail. I, again, started wanting to die. I couldn't get up out of bed in the morning. And the only, I didn't have my family because my family didn't understand anything I was going through. And if anything, it would make me feel bad to tell my family and then break their hearts or be a disappointment and whatnot. I didn't really have friends because sometimes when you have relationships, you push people away. Yeah. I'm big on my family and friends nowadays because I never want to push my friends away again. Not for any, I want a relationship where they embrace my friends. They don't take me away from my friends. Right. And we all need to be together. And
that's another huge lesson right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I was alone. Depressed, and my dog saved my life. He was the reason why I got up in the morning. Because I would look at, I would drink myself to oblivion. I would pray that maybe I'll have a heart attack. Maybe I'll die. Maybe this. I'd say crazy ass things to myself in my head, thinking, I just wish it would all end. And because I was in my head, I told myself I was a coward for not trying to commit suicide again. I hated my life, in my mind. And I look at my dog's face, and he didn't understand what was going on. He'd just get closer and closer and think, look at me, with concern. And then I'd look at that little face and think, well, I don't deserve you. And I'm okay, the way I was with that title, I gotta be worthy of you. That little face depended on me, and I needed to be what he needed me to be. So then it was just little steps. Gotta get up. Gotta take him out. I gotta walk him. He needs to smile.
Yeah.
And then I remember Dave, so Batista told me, he's Melina, he would tell me all the time, go outside and share your smile with the world. And that's why I say that all the time. He told me that. He told me, share your smile with the world. It's like, oh, fine. So then I remember him telling me that. So then I was like, okay, go outside. Like see how Charlie Bear would like make everybody smile, and then I'd smile too. And then it was just little steps. Like nobody could save me because I had to change myself. There was nobody who was going to be the one to change my life to make me happy again. It wasn't going to be like a relationship. Some man going to save me. No, it wasn't going to be my family because my family doesn't understand. I had to change how I saw the world.
Right.
I paint my walls to be a brighter color, a happier color. Instead of listening to sad songs, I changed the songs. Everything had to be positive. And if I didn't believe it, I'd be like, at least I'm listening to it. And then eventually in time, everything, if the way I got up in the morning, if this t-shirt made me smile, it's a good thing. Everything had to be specific. That, does this make me smile? TV show, does this make me smile? If it doesn't make me smile, I had to say goodbye. And sadly, even if it was friends, I tell them I love you. You're a great person, but your energy and what you bring in my life, it's hurting me. It makes me feel like I want to hurt myself. So I had to say goodbye to people. And there's nothing wrong with them. I love them, and I hope they know that I love them. But they're just like, I couldn't. It was too hard for me to be around them.
Well, you got to protect your environment.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. You have to protect your environment.
I had to protect here and here, so then I could be better for other people.
Yeah. I love the fact that you're going to soon find the closure for wrestling, but know that that doesn't mean that Melina's gone. And I love that you know where you're going now, and the therapy and being a therapist and all, and helping people. I think it's a beautiful thing. What a journey you've had. Holy moly. I want to ask you as we wrap this up, I mean, it's been fascinating. And again, I thank you so much for being so open. Has your chase for glory looked the way you thought it was going to look?
No, none of it. But then at the same time, it's because like you're unaware. You think it's one thing, and the reality is you can't foresee all the other, factors in life, all the other things that come along with it. There's some people who say like, I didn't sign up for people being in my face. And I get that. I didn't sign up for you. I just thought I was going to be a part of this beautiful, thing called wrestling. And I didn't expect people to be in my face and to judge me and to want to pick apart every little thing I do. I didn't sign up for it, but I had to come to terms with, this is what comes along. And it was hard. It was a hard reality to face. It took years. It wasn't instantaneous, but I realized I have to accept all these things that come with it. And it's not fair sometimes. It sucks. But I have to understand that this is what came with it.
Yeah.
I just wasn't aware. It was just,
and that's even fans. We do, that's even fans, because we have put ourselves out there, and there's some fans that can be so cruel with their message.
You give them a little and they want more. And it's like, I'm giving everything that I can. Like, and you're getting too intrusive. And
or the comments.
They don't understand. The comments that they make and everything. And like, I've seen the things. I want to, before we wrap up at all, I do want to mention about everybody getting help and going to any hotline and trying to seek help.
Absolutely.
Before we get to that, I want to also, when it comes to Ashley, so I saw a thread that said about Ashley. I didn't know if anybody knew what happened to her because they were holding it for so long, like saying nobody talked about it. So I thought, well, maybe it's something that's not going to be talked about. But now that it's out there, I saw a thread, and it was so mean. It was so mean. And granted, I know that's only the negative part of it. Like, sometimes the people who talk are just the people who are just wanting to say mean things.
Yeah.
And there's thousands and millions of positive people out there who support and love Ashley and know who she was truly and see her for who she is or who she was. But the thread was so mean. Like, oh, why would you do that? Like, as if they were picking on her, that she had money, she had this, she was beautiful. Oh, this is just another person who just couldn't accept that they had it all and all that. I'm
Oh
like,
my
that's so,
God.
the mean things that were said. I was like, how could you guys? That's so mean. You know, she sacrificed her body in the ring to entertain you guys because
Right.
she loved you guys. She loved you.
Right.
How can you say such mean things and stuff like that? Is just like this. You don't get it. And you know what? I forgive you for not understanding, but at the same time, I hope one day you realize that you shouldn't be saying that. That's awful.
Well, that's the thing.
That's
I hope that
awful.
people wake up, right? That people will look at that one day and go, what the hell was I thinking? Why did I say this? And really analyze where that was coming from. Because I don't think people are mean sometimes because they just want to be mean.
They just don't understand.
They either don't understand or they're in their own pain, right? They're in their own thing. That's why a lot of times I'm like, okay, I can't right now be angry at you because you're obviously doing this to lash out because you're in your own world, right? So it has really nothing to do with me because you're doing it. Even if anybody in my position, you'd be saying it, right? So that's the one thing. Yeah, for sure. I understand.
Suffering comes in all different levels. It comes from all different levels, and people perceive heartache. Some are more sensitive than others, yes. But for me, like my sensitivity, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world because I love so much more and I feel happiness that much more. I just need to talk to myself in my head when it comes to those sad moments where it's like, okay, Melina, understand, like it's going to be okay. Like this will pass. It'll pass.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a skill to be able to do that for yourself. And until you realize that you have control over those thoughts, it's painful, but pain is perceived no matter if you have money, if you don't have money, even if, because sometimes people are like, oh, let's compare traumas. Well, it's not about that.
Right.
A person who's never experienced the worst things in the world, they still experience depression in their mind through their eyes. That hurts.
Right.
So please be understanding. Just because it wasn't as bad as what you've been through doesn't make it less painful.
Exactly.
So you have to be understanding to everybody's struggles, everybody's journey.
Right. Well, I want to definitely wrap this up with, I know you've got information. I want to let people know also the GoFundMe for Ashley. They can go to GoFundMe, and we're trying to raise money for Alexa's education, which she's already doing so good. In the first year, she made straight A's. I actually, I had lunch with her and Barbara, which is Ashley's mom, and it was hard. I mean, it was sad, but it was a beautiful, moment that we got together. And they said the thing that's really helping them get by is this GoFundMe. And the fact that everyone's coming together and the love that they're seeing, I couldn't believe the support and how many people loved Ashley. So I encourage everyone, please keep donating. Please help us to get to that, to our goal, the $100,000 to help Alexa to complete college. And it just shows, it shows Ashley her memory, like that she did mean something, and then we could take care of Alexa. Yes. And I love that you're a part of this. So I love that.
Me too.
And go ahead and tell your information for the hotlines.
Yeah. So everybody, you can go to, it's on my Instagram, and I'm bad with numbers, so I apologize. I should be better at this.
No, but let's go. Which one you wanted to give the hotline for? Because I want to go ahead and is it for suicide hotline?
Yeah, the suicide hotline.
Yeah, I'm going to give it out right now.
I forget. That's why but I put it on. And what I'm going to do too is I'm going to start doing stories on my Instagram specifically for suicide prevention or for sexual assault, or little memes that say whatever, but your information will be there. So no matter if you're in the UK, because there's ones that are Samaritans that are in the UK and in Australia, I'll have that up for that, for Italy, for Spain. Like I'll have different places.
That's great. But for now,
go ahead. Even if it's a stranger, because somebody was telling me the other day, well, a stranger doesn't understand me and what I've been through. I'm like, no, strangers, they are taking the time to give their time to you because they have been through it themselves.
Right.
They understand. Like that comes from a beautiful place. So please don't even think about that. Just reach out.
So it's 1-800-273-8255. 1-800-273-8255. That's the National Suicide Prevention line. So please, if you're anywhere thinking, contemplating, even if it's just in your thoughts, call so that you can get help so that you don't spiral downward even more.
Yeah, catch this before it gets to
Worse.
that point.
Exactly.
Yes.
Melina, thank you.
I love you.
I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Oh, thank you for having me here.
Chasing Glory with Lilian Garcia.
Wow, guys, there you go. Melina's journey of chasing glory. Man, these interviews, I tell you, every time I'm done with them, I'm just so in awe of what every human goes through, including myself. You know, all the things that we definitely, encounter in this life, all the struggles that we get through and, we grow from. I love Melina's comment of that whole thing of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but why do you have to go through hard times to make you stronger? That has really stayed with me, and I want to say to that, yeah, don't wait for the hard times to get stronger. I'm in Toronto this weekend. As I was doing the intro with Trish, the reason I'm in Toronto is because I'm in the Personal Mastery Academy, and that is from Robin Sharma. It is his weekend of just diving in and doing some serious work on yourself, on getting past those limiting beliefs, getting past those things that have been holding you back, getting past the struggles. If you've been dealing with struggles in your life, how to get through all of that, how to go back to being a kid that is full of awe and wonder and doesn't take no for an answer and just looks through the world with so much fun and joy and passion, and getting back to that before the world dumps all of this negativity on it, right? So that's why I'm always taking myself on and always wanting to grow. And I love that Melina shared about that, how she's gotten through the struggle and now she wants to turn around once her wrestling career is done. She wants to turn around and be a counselor and help people get through their struggles. And now she has empathy. When we do go through struggles, remember, it does give us the ability to then understand what other people are going through. But I will say, and I want to break some news right here, because usually, as you know, Glory Fridays, I talk about who my next week's guest is. Well, I had this interview in the can for a while, and then I knew that I was going to be coming to this Personal Mastery Academy with Robin Sharma, and my background with him is literally about a year and a month ago, I discovered his book called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. I told you guys about it. Hopefully you remember me mentioning that. And if you don't know anything about it, definitely pick up the book right away. And now he has the 5 a.m. Club. Incredible. I mean, incredible books. A Leader Without a Title is the other one too. That is, I feel like every single employee, every single person should read this, and you can be a leader without a title. It's incredible. Anyway, I wanted to bring this interview to Chasing Glory. I wanted to bring Robin Sharma to Chasing Glory. I felt like he could help all of you as much as he has helped me. So because of the Personal Mastery Academy this weekend, I decided that's it. I'm going to go to this, and then that way I can talk about it and line it up with the interview. So I'm going to go ahead and let you know that next Monday, I am going to be releasing the incredible interview with Robin Sharma. And when I say incredible, I'm talking about life-changing lessons that he's going to give you. I'm telling you, it costs thousands of dollars to go to his seminars. He's going to be giving free advice on chasing glory. If you guys are stuck, if you guys are dealing through some hard times, if you know someone who's dealing through hard times, or maybe you're very successful, but you want to get to the next level, all of those things are going to be addressed next Monday. So don't forget, Robin Sharma, go ahead and pick up his book from now to then, and you can understand who he is a little bit better. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari is the one that got the whole path set for me, and what a growth I have done in this last year and a month since discovering that. All right, so that's next Monday. So make sure that you subscribe to the show so that way you can get the instant notification when the episode is live, and rate the show. Continue that 5-star rating. Really appreciate that. Does help the show. And then write your reviews on Apple Podcasts so that you can enter the drawing. And then I'm going to be choosing 2 reviews for next week. And then you get the 8x10 and the Chasing Glory t-shirt if you get chosen at the end of the month from that drawing. Okay? So until then, go out there and live with much peace, love, and passion. And remember to always be yourself and trust that it's enough. I love you all dearly. Bye.
Thanks for joining us here on Chasing Glory from executive producer Lilian Garcia. Don't forget to share